Welcome back to my channel. On today's tutorial, we'll be creating a dashboard for an e-learning web-based application. So as you can see, we'll be going through all of these features here, starting from the sidebar. We jump to the center section here, then we complete with this other section. So here I will be giving you some details on how to start your project. So I will just delete this. But before you can start any project, I think some of the things you need to define are the colors, which are very important. So here I have three different colors. The blue color would be my primary color. So before we start this tutorial, we'll be using a MacBook Pro 14 for this tutorial. So here, after adding your frame, what I want us to do here is we'll be creating a background. So please, I will group these colors. I will group them and I will rename this to colors. So these are the colors I'll be using for this project. So the next thing I want to do here is I'm going to create a background. So people call it splash screen. You can name it BG, any name. So for this, we'll be naming this BG. So having this, what I want to do is I can double click on this and rename it to BG. So here I have a particular color in mind from my colors here. So I can use the letter I on my keyboard to get this eyedropper. Then I'll pick this and change the background color for this. So once I've done this, I would lock this particular background so that I won't be able to move this. Then the next section I want to create is another rectangle here. So I'll create a rectangle. So I'll make sure it's aligned to this. So I'll drag this, it's aligned here, and then I'll just align this properly. So the width of this sidebar will be 266. So I have this, I'll just align it, and I'll change this to white. If you notice, I'm not having a white color here because I just know that white will be part of my project. So having this, I can equally lock this right now. So I'll just say side BG, then I can lock this. So the next thing I want to do here is I want to bring out my grid. So I'll be clicking on the layout grids. So basically here, I'm not going to be using the grid for our projects, but I can just do some settings here, 12, and then I'll add a 20 here, 20. So please, this is what I want us to do. Here, if you don't have these numbers on the sidebar here, we call this a ruler. So you can click on the view, your Figma app here, and then what I want us to do here is I want us to add this column to your project in case you don't have this. So you're going to click on the Figma app, click on the view here, then you make sure that this ruler is checked. So once it's checked, you're going to get this. So I'll drag this to this particular portion here. But the best way to get the exact measurement is when you zoom in, so you can just snap the grid here. That's for the first ruler. So the next one I want to do here is I want to change this to 40. So I'll drag another ruler again and then drop it here. So I can zoom in and then snap this. So now I think I'm done with the grid system here. So I can click on the MacBook Pro and then hide this completely. So here we would start with the logo. So I'll be giving this a U minus len. So I'll be using the text inter, and then this will be extra bold. Okay, our ulen will be extra bold. So now once we have this ulen here, what I want us to do here is want to change this letter U to blue. So I'll highlight the letter U and then I click on the fill and pick this. So we have ulen. So the next thing I want to do to create this logo is I want to search for a book in Iconify. So I'll be searching for book in Iconify. So please, book, Iconify, run. So I'll search for book here, book, search. So now I have different options of books, so I will be picking this one here. I'll just drag it and drop it here. So for my book, I will just make sure we have this. So having this now, what I want to do here is I make sure that my logo is of size 20, and then my book, since this is a vector, if you notice, I can just pull this out here and then delete this. So this, I'll make sure that the height of this is also 20. Make sure you lock this, please. Make sure you lock this, and then you change this to 20. So that means I have to undo that again. So this is it. So I'll lock this and I'll change this to 20. So please, you'll notice that it increased the weight automatically. So now I'll select these two items and then I'll use this alignment, the vertical alignments. Then I can group these two items, Ctrl G. So now I will drag this to this point here, and you see it's aligned here. So the next thing I want to do now here is I want to create a text to welcome this user. Welcome back. So we're going to give this user a name. The surname is Westwood. I'm going to change this to maybe medium. So I'm going to also increase the size of this to 30. Then I will change this to the color I want, which is this. Okay, we have this Westwood. Welcome back, Westwood. So I think I'll just click this and then push it down a little. So now having this, I'm going to add a date to this. So I'm recording this on December, that's Sunday, 25th December. Then it's 2022. So this will be of size 20. So let's see, we can put this here. So I will need an icon for this. So I will also pick an icon calendar on Iconify. So here I would pick calendar. So calendar, I can just pick one of this and then drop it there. So I'll drop the calendar here. So I can close this Iconify. So now this is a single vector. I can drag it outside and then delete this. So here I have the vector here. So I'll make sure the height is the same with whatever size I'm having. So this should have a height of 20, which is the same. So I can just align them together. Okay, it's aligned. So I'll make sure I select these two items and then align them vertically. So I'll just push this a little, and then I think we need to reduce this size a little to maybe 15. Okay, so that the date, then I have to adjust this. I'll have to lock this and then reduce the height because that's what I'm interested in, to 15. So I think this is still good. So here I will align them again, then group the two. But what I want to do is my text, I want to change the color to this dark green, and then this other one, I'll click on this, I'll highlight from this, and then I make sure I change the color to the dark green here. Then the 25 December also. So I think for this, since I'm having two items, I can use the selection and then change the colors. It's going to change the color for both items. So the next thing we want to now design here is the navigation. So I'll be working on the navigation. So here on my navigational bar, I'll be adding a rectangle here. So the width of the rectangle, I will be using 230 here, 230. Then the height, I will be using 50 for the height, 50 for this height. So having this now, I'll give this a border radius of 50. So now I can change the color to blue. That's my primary color. So here I will just give it a name, dashboard. So we can add dashboard here. So and the size of our dashboard item is 15, which is already 15. So I'll be searching for some icon on Iconify. So to do that, we're going to click on the plugins. So make sure, please, the default, it starts with the component. You have to click on plugin. Then we run Iconify. You can just search that if you don't have that there. So I'll search for application. That's for the first one. I'm searching for application. So I will pick this for my application. So you can drag it and drop it here. So I want to make sure I pick all the icons I need. So I can search for pie chart. So I can drag this and drop it here for my pie chart. Then the next one is I'll look for bag. So I'm looking for bag. Just want a fancy bag. So we can drag this and drop it here. Then the third one is I'll look for user. I think the user I need is far from here. So let's check if I can get that user here. Please, I have a particular user icon in mind to use. Let's see. So I pick this user. So I'll try to resize this immediately. So I'll just adjust this here. Then I'll resize this to 24. So please, once I resize it, you see it's out there. I'll just bring it in here. So the next one we want to search for is settings. Or you can search for a chair. So if I look at this, I think this is a little bit big. So I'll just drag this and drop it here, which I also have to resize. But this is the last item, so I can close this, drag this here, and then try to resize this to 24 by 24. So I have this settings here. So right now we have all our icons here. So the next thing I'll do is this vector, I think is a single item. I'll remove it from the frame and then delete it here. So I'll drag this here. So I have an exact measurement for my icons. So I want the width of this icon. I'll log this. I want the width to be 18. So once the width is 18, you notice that my icon has been distorted. So what I want to do here is I want to reduce the stroke to 2. So then change the color to white here. So I think I can still work on this. Let's try 1.5 for this. I think this is good. So now this is good. So I have the width to be this particular size. So I have my dashboard here. So let me adjust this icon to be on the same line with the logo, and I have my dashboard here. So the next one we want to use is the analytic here. So I'll have to drag this since it's just a single item. I'll put this out and then delete the pie. So I'll make sure that the width of this is 18. I will show you why, and I'll log this first, please. I'll log this, make sure it's 18. So I'll show you why I'm making sure that it's 18. So if this is 18, you notice that they are aligned together. They are of the same weight. You see the alignment, the same. So but for this, I will quickly change this color to this green here I'm having. Then my effects, I will be adding analysis. So this should be regular. I'll change this to regular analysis, and then it's regular. Make sure it's aligned with this. So the next one here, it's my item here. That's the back. I'll just make sure I remove it from the frame and then delete the outline. So here we are also going to make sure that the width is 18, but lock this before changing the width to 18. So if I have this and this is 18, so I'll make sure I change the color also. But before we do that, let's say this is our wish list. Let me add a text: wish list. Okay, so I can select the two and then make sure I'm changing the color, the fill to this green, so I can align them here since I'm selecting the two. So please, once you're sure they are aligned, I think we can group them here. So I'll do the same thing for this. I'll make sure that these two are aligned, then I'll change the color to our green here. So now I can zoom in and say, okay, Ctrl G, I'm grouping these two again. So the next one we want to do is the profile. So I'll just drag this profile. Okay, it's also same item. I'll just remove that from here, delete it, and then I'll make sure that the width of this is 18. So notice that if I try to push this, it's aligned with all the 4 items because all the widths are 18, sorry. I'll change the color, then I'll add the text profile here. So I will also drag this here, then try to select the 2 items, align them, and then we're going to change the selection color to this color. So I can use this item here. So once I'm okay with the alignment, Ctrl G to group them here. So the last item on our list is the settings. So I will also try to pull this outside the frame and then delete it. So right now I have my settings. So what I want to do here is to make sure, lock this, the width is 18 here. So if we try to push this item again here, let's see the alignment. You see we have a perfect alignment for all our 3 items. So here I can just change that to settings here, settings. So we can select these 2 and then try to align them first, then I will change the color to green. Then I think I'm not grouping them yet. I'll make sure that this text is aligned with all the other text. So select this, Ctrl G to group. So I have this dashboard, but I want to pull this down a little because I want to space them. So I will space each and every one of this. I want them to cover till this level. So I'll select 2, 3. Please, if you're selecting the dashboard, I think let's group this dashboard with this icon together. Let's group the 2 together. Zoom in. I'll select this, Ctrl G. So now this is, I want to select this other item. Please don't select the rectangle. I want to space this. So here I would use the vertical spacing to space my items. So I have my items here well spaced. So if I click outside, I think it looks like the spacing is much, so we can adjust that a little. So I would adjust that by just pushing this one here, just push this here, and then I'll select this other ones here, and I'll repeat the same thing here, vertical spacing. So I think the spacing, it's okay. So the next thing we want to start here is we want to deal with also part of this here. So I want to deal with part of this. So I'm going to start with the learning board here. So I'll create this. So I have an exact site for this. So drag this here a little. So having this now, what I want to do here is I want to give this a width of 581 here. I think the width is small, but then I think we can manage that. Let's see. Okay, I'm having extra spacing. I'll just do this here. So since we have this, I think I can change the color back to white. Then all my items here must be aligned with each other. So for me to do that, I can easily lock this. So we have also a particular measurement for portion that is left here. So what I want us to do here is I want us to also create a rectangle here so that we can use that for the measurement. So here I have this. So after adding this, so this I will give it a weight of 316, and then the height should be 225 here. So let's say we have this, and then this is going to be stuck to this particular portion. So I increase this. That's why I created the other one here, so that I can align the three here. So if I have this here, I will duplicate this design and bring it here. Then I can drag this. This is like another portion of the web app. So here I'll change this color to this blue. Then this will also be white here. So we already have this column here. So this one will be having a border radius of, let's say, 10. So it has a border radius. So the next thing we want to create here now is our learning here. So please let's add a text here to my learning. So in the my learning, I think I'm making that 20. So my learning. So I'm going to change that from to medium. Okay, my learning, and I'm also going to change the color to our prime. So this is our color. That's for our text. But please let's make sure we're locking this here. So after locking that, we want to add some information here. So I'll be creating a rectangle here. This will take in the space for my first learning here. So I can just quickly do this Ctrl D to just test it. But please, you don't have to do this. Okay, I think this, we just have to increase the width a little. So I'll increase the width a little here. Then the height, knowing that this is going to fit in perfectly. So I'm going to give this a border radius of 5. That's because the outward is 10. And I'll change this color. Since this will be the active one, I'll change this color to this. So here I'm going to add an ellipse here. Have an ellipse here. So this will be the course the user is currently taking, and then the level which they are, which will be measured in percentage. This user has finished 25% of this course. So I can drag this here. Then the next one is I can just give the name of the course here, learn UI basic. So I could just, let's adjust this weight here. Please, if you want to use this exact weight I'm using, the weight is 257, the height is 208. So learn basic, so this should be, let's say 12. Let's make it 15. This is the other one, sorry, that's supposed to be 15 here, and then it's supposed to be regular. Learn UI. So here we have this here. So the user can also check information of this course. So I'll just run a plugin here. So the plugin will be info. I'll search for info, and then I can pick any of this info, but not any. I will pick this one. So this one here. So I'll drag this outside and then delete the frame. So I will change this to white first. Then the size of our text is 15. Then the height of this should also be 15. I'll lock this and change the height to 15. So locking this now, I can bring this close to this and then make sure it's aligned. So push this here. So I'll just adjust this. Then I can group these two, Ctrl G, and then I'll select these two items and make sure that they are aligned together. So here we have our percentage. Make sure that this is also aligned to this. So I'll select everything, make sure they are aligned to each other. So 25%. So what we want to now do here is I want to show the user that, okay, in this UI basic you can see other courses here, but I'll make them blue So let's say this is, let's make this 20, let's make it 40. That's like too much. Okay, let's go 30 here. Then I'm going to duplicate this and then create then. Since it's locked, I can just do this. Okay, let's go 20, 30, then 20. Okay, this is good. And then I'll do the same thing here. Control D. I'm selecting the two. Let me group them first. Control G, and then I'll duplicate it and then drag it here. But this time now I could just rotate this to, let's say, 180. Yeah. So, but these items here, let's make sure that they are all aligned to center. So I'll use this. Okay, I think they are all aligned. So these two groups, I'm going to reduce the opacity here to, let's see, let's try 15 and see 15. Okay, good. So now we have this particular design here. That's for the my learning. So the best thing I do is, once I'm okay with this, I'll just have to group this. Control G. Here, I'll group this. So I will bring out Control D to duplicate this. I'll bring this out. I'll have another Control D here. So I'll bring that out also. So let's align this. Don't worry about the spacing because we're going to adjust that. It's like I mistakenly move an item. Okay, good. So I'll regroup this again. So I can select all the three items and try to push them here. So having this now, I think I need to delete this last one because I want to change the color of this. So I can double click. Make sure you're selecting the rectangle here. So I'm going to add a stroke to this, and then I'm going to change the background color here to white. But if I'm changing that to white, the text would not be visible. So I'll select the two texts here and make sure I'm converting them to our initial green. Here, that's this green here. So I have this. So these two groups, I think we can reduce the opacity to like 25 to make them visible. So, and this is our stroke here. If I click on this, the stroke, I'm reducing the opacity to, let's say, 50. I don't want it too visible. I think it's still too visible here. So I'll do the same thing here. So I'm going, let's say, 20. Yeah. So we have the stroke here to show that this is not active. So I'm going to duplicate this and then drag it here for the third one. So it shows that the user is currently taking this first course here. So here I will change this to learn Figma, and then let's assume that they have taken 0% of this, 0% of this, and here also it's 0% of this, since you need to complete the first course before you take in any other one. So 0% of this. So now what we want to do here is we want to add some icons here, maybe images, to this ellipse I'm having here. So for me to do that, I will be using Unsplash. Please, you can search for that in your plugin. So I'll search for Unsplash and I'll be looking for some images here. So the first one, I'll just search for a wireframe. Sharing my keyboard, wireframe. So I'll search for wireframe. So I will make sure I'm placing the wireframe here. So I have the wireframe. Then the next one is I will look for maybe design, mobile app. So I can pick this for the mobile app. So then the next one is I will look for, okay, I think we can still search one for the mobile app. Good. For the, that will be our UX, that's the usage. You can just pick this here. Then this will be learn UX, that's the user interaction, UX here. So please, I think since we're done with this, I'll have to align them with this bigger item. So please I can also select this other one here and then make sure I align them. So I'll select this again and then align them to this big item. Okay, I think everything is well aligned on this particular section. So now we have some section to deal with here. So I'll be creating another section for this. So I think we can select all these three and then push them a little bit here, just up here a little. So I can even group these three, Control G, and then make sure I'm unlocking this my rectangle. So I'll select this, make sure it's at the center here, and then I'll just do this is at the center here. But I think I don't want to center that here. So please, if you, in case you select the two, just make sure that you are aligning them to just this center horizontally, not the vertical center, because we can always push this because of the text at the top. So the next thing here I want to add here is some icons. So I'll create a rectangle. I'll just drag that with a shift and I will make this, please lock this, make sure this is 50 by 50. Then this, I'll make sure they align with this here. So I'll make sure that the color is white and the border radius is 5. So I'm going to duplicate this again, Ctrl D. I think that's all. That's for the two. This will be for my search and then my notification. So I can open Iconify again and then we just pick search, so I can look for search, a nice search. So I can pick this, sorry, I can pick this also. I think I prefer this. Then I will look for a bell, a notification bell. So I can search for bell or a notification. So bell, because I still can't find what I'm looking for. So I'm going to the second page. I'm looking for a bell, just a bell. So I'll pick this here, drag it and drop it here. So I think I'm okay with my icons. So I'll come in here. So I'll delete this one here. I'm using this with the dot here. So here we can remove this from the frame. I'll remove that from the frame here. So I'll drag this and then my icon here, I will be using my icons and resize them to say 24. I'll be making this, okay, the width or height to 24. I think this is good enough. So but okay, I think this is a line. I can change the color instantly to this. Yeah. So this is what where we might be having little issues here. So if you notice, this bell has 3 different items here. So what I normally do is I can group them. I'll select the 3 and then group them. So you can hold shift and select, remove them from the frame. Then I delete the frame. So what I want to do here is I want to lock this and make sure that this is okay. Let me make sure that this is 24. Let's see the size of this. Okay, that is 24 also. So I can drag this group here, the whole of this group. You see, it's 24. So make sure I change the color here, change the color to the screen here. Sorry, please, that should be my fill. Let's change the fill and say to the screen. Please, something is wrong. Let me check. Please, there's this shape here that's causing all this trouble. I think I can delete that shape. Yeah, so let's try changing the color. So let's change that to this. Okay, good. That's perfect. So now we have this item. So if you want to confirm your alignment, you can select this too, then align horizontally and then vertically, then Ctrl G. I'll do the same thing for this. I'll align horizontally and then vertically, then Ctrl G. Let's see if this is having a stroke so that we can reduce this. Okay, it's not, so because of this stroke, but we can manage that. So I'll align them, align and group. So having this now, I want to create an ellipse here. Sorry, that should be an ellipse. So I'll make this ellipse 50 by 50 also. Please make sure this place is locked, so I get the height and width of 50 by 50. So we're going to have the username here. So Jackson Westwood. So I have this name here, Jackson Westwood. Then the next thing I would have is his email here, jackson@gmail.com. So this should be 10. So I have to click out and then make sure that this is 10. So I'll change this here. So they are aligned. So I'll just push this a little bit here. So I can select this two and change the color at once to green here. So Ctrl G to group this. So I'll make sure that these two are aligned with this. So here we want to pick an image from Unsplash. So I'll search for just a man. You can search for a man or a woman. So I will be picking this image here. So having this, I can select these two and then try to align them here. Please don't use this. Use this to align them. Ctrl G to group. So here, since these three are grouped, we can then try to check the horizontal spacing here. Okay, now the spacing in between each item here is correct, so we can group them here. We have a single group for that. So if you notice, our design is coming to life. So here I can, since I'm done with this, let me make sure that okay, this is not locked. So I would highlight all of this item here, then Ctrl G to group, so I can move this as a group here. So I have this here, so I want it to be small here. So I can push this a little to align, then push this also. So what that means is I have more space for this item here. So having this, what I want to do here is I want to start working on another section here, which is the learning plan here. So this we're going to make that 20, and then from regular I'll just use a medium for this learning plan. So I'll change the color to green here. So having this now, I'm going to create a measurement for this learning with a stroke here. So we can have something like this, because here I want to put the learning curve. I want to add a learning curve to this learning curve. So let's quickly do that, so that we don't add too much or too little. So I have a learning curve. So I think I want this. Okay, it cannot be the same. So this is my learning curve. So here I can still add this a little. Okay, so now here I will make this 30. That's the height to 30. Then okay, I think 30 should be too much. 25 should do. The border radius we can give it 20. We just have this. I'm changing that to white. So please, once you've done this, this is what you have. So you can duplicate this, Ctrl D to duplicate. So once you drag this here, you see I'm having something here, so I can just do this here, and then I'll use the blue sign here. So please, I'll select these two items and group them. So I'll push this down a little, because this course it should be like a 3 course duration. That's this one here. So we're going to have a week 1, week 2, week 3, week 1. So I can change the size of this to 10. That's too small. Let's go 12 and say week 1. I think we can do better. Okay, good. So that is visible. So I'll change the color here to green. Week 1. So if I have week 1 here, so I can duplicate this to week 2 and then week 3. Week 2, double click and then 2. Then I'll use Ctrl D or Command D to duplicate. I have week 3. Week 3. Yeah. So now having this, what we want to do here is we want to indicate the progress of this user, but we want to add a gradient to beautify this. So what I'll do here is I'll pick a pen tool, which is rarely used. So what I want to do here is I want to click here. Please make sure you're holding on shift to get a straight line. I'll click here again. So once you do this, click on done. You notice we have a straight line here. But what I want to do is I want to perform some settings on this. I'll click on this. Instead of solid, I will just change it to dash. And then the spacing, let's try 10 and see. Okay, 10 looks cool. So but before I do that, I'll change it to the stroke, to this color. So once I change that, what I want to do now here is I want to duplicate this, drag that down here, duplicate this, and then duplicate this for the fourth line. So I'll just try to reduce the spacing here. So selecting this, I can space them again. No, I don't want that. I will use the vertical spacing. Okay. So once I select this, I would reduce the opacity of these items here. So as low as, let's say, 40 or 30. I'm reducing the opacity. So having this now, we want to do something a little bit tricky. We're going to pick a rectangle, and I'll drag the rectangle here to this. Okay. So I make sure it's starting here. It's aligned with this item here. So what I want to do here is, you notice that this item here is at this bottom group 22. So this new rectangle, I'll make sure it's under group 22. It's under, not inside. Please, if you notice, so I'll change this to blue. And then, yep, this doesn't make any sense, but then we're going to make a sense out of this. So what I want to do is you click on the view, then we change from solid, we're going to use a linear. So after adding the linear, you have an idea of what we want to do. So now I'll click on this first one, then try to reduce the opacity here. I'll try to reduce the opacity here. We can go down as low as this. Yeah, let's see, we have something here. So we have something here like this. Okay, that depends on what you want, but you can reduce it. If you want to do that for the bottom here, you can click on that, and then you see from the bottom you want to add it, you say. But then I'm sticking to this. Yeah. So now we want to add some kind of a movement here to show the learning curve for the user. So I can still use the pen tool here. Pen tool, I can say, okay, the user starts here, and then he was here, and then he maintained this speed, and then before this he was here. Please, you can choose not to hold the shift, and then he's currently here. So done. So let's see, there's a progress. It's going somewhat here. So once you can click on done if you're done with this. So here I'll click on this. I want it to be solid, so we have to go back here and make sure that this is solid. Then I can increase this to maybe 2 here. So this is the beauty of all of this. So I want to show points, so I can click on an ellipse, just create a small ellipse here, and then I can come in here and then drop it here somewhere here. I have to zoom in so that we can all see that. So this, I'll change this color to our blue, the stroke to our blue. So if this is blue, I want to just play around with this. I'll give this a stroke. That's the ellipse, a stroke, and then we make that 2 because it will be visible. We change the color to white, and then the fill would be blue. The fill will be blue. So now I will duplicate this and then drag it to this. This is a point. Duplicate this also, please. I'll undo that. Okay, it's repeating the last step. I'll drop this here, and then I can duplicate this one here, and then okay, this is our starting point here. The user starts here, and then they are making this progress, and they are currently here. So this is the user's progress here. So we can even put the days here. We can put day 1, day 2, sorry, day 2, and then let's reduce this to 10. We can reduce that here, day 2, 10, and then we can change the color to our primary color, day 2, and then Control D, and then we have this. Sorry, Click Ctrl D to duplicate. It's like, okay, I'm duplicating the color, please, not the text. So I'll make sure I select the text, Ctrl D, and then I have D2 here. So this would be D3 here. So Ctrl D, and then this would be D4. So since we're not sure of this, we don't know which day is that. So Ctrl D here, I'll just put D1 here. Sorry, I have to shift the text, not the background. So I have D1 here. So if you look at this, okay, we're all clear with this section. So what I always do is, once I'm done with this, let's give this, okay, we have for week 1 is learning the UI basic, so I'll change this back to, let's say 15, and say learning UI basic. Let's 13, learning UI basic. I'll change the color to this. So learning UI, Ctrl D, that's week 2. That should be learning Figma. Then Ctrl D for week 3. That's when you start learning the UX here. Learning UX here. So I can align that here. So I'm sure of this, our design. Okay, we're done with this section. So what I want to do here is, for this learning part, I will select all of these items and group them. All these items here, Ctrl G to group them. So after grouping them, so what I want to do here is I'll make sure that this is aligned with this. From this week 3 here, they are aligned, and then it's stopping where this text here. This is more like a repetition of this screen. So I'll change the border here to 10. So this is supposed to be our learning curve. I'll lock this so we can have a learning curve. So this would be a little bit tricky, but it's almost the same repetition of this. But then this, we have a size of 15. Here, our learning curve. So I can choose to center this. So it should be semi-bold, our learning curve. So here, I can change that to this dark green. So here, it's just more like the hours the user have spent on the app. So I will add this, the same pattern here, drop that here, and then it's going up here, something like this. Done. So the trick here is, if we want to create this pattern here, the background here, that's this angle here, it's going to become very difficult for us. Why? Because if I should pick a rectangle and then try to drag it here, you see it's covering everything, even if we try to change the opacity. So what we're going to do is, we're going to still pick the pen tool. So what I'll do here is, I'll select this line, hold shift to create a straight line, here. So I'll click, hold shift to create a straight line, click here, then I'll hold shift. Okay, I think I missed that. Shift, so I can always reduce that, so no big deal. So I can do this. So I'll make sure I click here, click, then I'll follow this pattern here, click here, follow this, click here, then follow this, click here, and then make sure these 2 points are touching each other. So now if I click on done, what I'll have is, I'll have something like this, you see. So now, having this, now we're going to add a fill to this, then we're going to subtract the stroke, minus the stroke. So I have this shape. So if I should just try to slide this in, you see it's going to fit in because we did the measurement. So I'll just try to slide that in here. I'll push it with my keys. Okay, good. So it's not the way I expected it, but then it's still manageable here. So here we want to change the color to this blue here. Then from fill we want to change this to linear. So in the linear, clicking here, we have to reduce this here. You see, have our design here. So I'm reducing this. So I think I'm okay with that. We can go down a little. Yeah. So here I can adjust this here. So I can click on this and then try to adjust it here. Okay, I think it's fitting in. Okay, this is good. So now I can decide to add my points here. So please, I can just duplicate one of this, Control D, and then I'll drag it to this place here. So but I'll make sure I remove this when I dragged outside the group. So I'll start with my first point here, then Control D, my second point here, and then my third point here, Control D. Okay, I have a point here, I have a point here, then yeah, D. So learning curves. So here I'm just going to say the first day we can say the user spend 4 hours here. So this should be 4 hours. So I'm changing that to maybe green. The user spent 4 hours straight. So with 4 hours, please, I will have to change this text again. The 4 hours looks too big. Okay, 4 hours. Then okay, the second course was also 4 hours. 4. Then here we have 3 hours. 3 hours. Yeah, I think we might also want to do this. Please, I'll select everything and change that to 6. Okay, drop that a little. 6. So here the user spend 3 hours. The cost duplicates that. I'll have 3.5 hours here. 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours here. So now if we have this, no, I think I want to reduce the learning curve. Okay, so it's like I locked that, so I'll close this and then try to look for this rectangle here. So all I want to do is I want to try to unlock this and then reduce this. I want to push this item down here because of the spacing, and then I will reduce this here. I'll reduce this here. So please, I can now select all of this item here, but before we do that, let's align this center. Okay, so I'll lock this first, lock this, then I'll try to group these items. If you don't lock the white background, it will include that. I'll select just these items here, Ctrl G to group them. Then I'm going to look for this and then unlock it, then select this, make sure that this is at the center, select this, holding shift, make sure that this is at the center, so we can group them now. So hope we're not losing anything. Okay, Ctrl G, group them here. So I have this my design here. So if you notice, the only portion we're having left is this portion and then this other portion. So for this, this is where the user would have options of being able to add a cost to their list. So here I can lock this instantly. Then we are going to add a text here. So we said, don't know where to start. Please, I would zoom in so that we can see the text, but I'm going to increase that. Don't know where to start from. So question. So we can tell the user, okay, answer few questions here. Answer few questions to get you started. Okay, so here we're going to align this to center. After that, we're going to increase this. So let's say 15. Let's see how 15 looks. That's two bolts here. 15, 12. So please, okay, good. So 12 should do. Yeah, let's get you started. But to make sure that we're changing this color to our green, yeah. Then we're going to add a button here to add a new course. So I'm going to create a button here. So this button, I'm going to give this button some border radius of 50. So the height should be 40. And then I think I can just do this a little. Please, the width will be 230, should do. So we change the color to our button color here. So I'm going to add effects to this, plus. So I'll add a plus, then we say add a course here. Add a course, so we drag this here. And then we're increasing this to, let's say, 14. We're making that semi-bold, and then select these two, align them first, align, and then group, Ctrl G to group them. So now we want to add maybe an icon. So please, that means I have to push this down a little. I have to select 1, 2. Yeah, please, that means I have to unlock this rectangle here. 1, 2, 3, down, because I want to push add an item here. Okay, I think we can still work with that. So I'll undo that. I can work with this. All we need to do is to push this big one down a little. Then we add an item here. So I want to look for an item here in story set by free pick. So I'll search for learning. Yeah. So I'll just look for one, learning. So okay, I have this. So what I want to do here is, before I pick this color, I want to make sure I change her dress, because free pick allow us to do that. So I can select this color, make sure I copy this color here, and then what I want to do now is I want to change the color of this. So to do that, I can select this color here, double click, and then paste that here. You see. Then I want to remove background details, hidden. So the background details are hidden. So I will drag this and drop that here. So after dropping that here, I will resize this lady. So then I'll resize it and drop it here. But if you notice, we have some items behind. I don't like that here. So what I would do here is I will look for elements. It's not always elements because I've used this. So elements, I'll delete elements. So you see, everything is gone. I'm left with my character and then the computer. So I can just drag that here a little to the top here. Okay. So please, for this item, I also want to give this a border radius. Or do I have to do this? No. And then I don't have to do that. I'll just keep it straight. Then I can increase the size of this lady a little. Something like this. Okay. So now I have this. So I can then say, okay, take a quiz, take quiz. So here I'll just make it maybe 15, make it bold. Then I change the color to blue eye, and then I change this color here. So I have all of these items, so I can select them together. So I want everything centered. So I'll make sure I use this. So everything is centered. I don't want to try spacing them in between. So if I want to do that, I'll have to select individual. This is grouped, so I can then try to do the vertical spacing here. So all the spacing in between them is the same. So Ctrl G to group. So I'll select this one and group them together. So we're done with this section of our app also. So let me see. We're done with this. So I'm left with this section here. So I can increase this. So here, this will be all the courses the user will be taking. So I can zoom in again and then add a text, my courses. So all the courses that the user is currently taking at the moment. So my courses, I can make that let's say 18. My courses, and then I can use semi-bold for this. Then I can create another text here, which is view all. So this will be 10, and then medium, view all here. So I have this. So on the course, we just have to add an ellipse here. This will be the course, maybe the image for the course. No, maybe this should be the image for the course, and then the name of the course. Let's set that to 50 by 50. Okay, good. So here I would just add intro dot to HTML5 HTML5. So we're going to increase this to a big 14 intro to HTML5, then by Lauren Moreau. So I'll change this to 10 here. Intro to HTML5 by this person. So I'll reduce the opacity of the name. Then the opacity here. Please let's check the opacity. Then I will reduce that to like 50 by Lauren. Okay, that's too much. Let's do 80. Okay, 80 is good. So by Laurent. So I will group this two. Ctrl G. Then I'll make sure they are centered here. Scroll to the top, center. Then Ctrl G to group this. So I can duplicate this for other courses. So for me to do that, I can do Ctrl D, and then I can drag this downward here. Ctrl D again, D again. So this is like all the course the user is currently taking. So for the first one here, okay, we have course the user is taking now. So I can put intro to UI designs, UI design. Okay, Control Z. UI. Please, let me just lock this blue background here. Sorry, lock it. UI design. Yeah. So here, intro to HTML5. I can just do introduction to React.js. Intro to React.js. Push that again. Okay. So here, intro to Java scripts. Let's say 6 ECMAScript 6. Okay. So we have this item here. So we want to indicate that one of these courses is active. So I want to do that for this intro to UI because that's the course that the user is currently taking. So we can give this a rectangle here. I'll give this a rectangle here, like this. So I'll make sure that the background color is white. Then here, the first group here, please, I will have to click on this and then do bring to front. So I can place that here. So if you notice, my text are not showing the colors because they are white. So selection, I'll change that to green, and then the other selection here, I'll also change that to green. So introduction to this by this person here. So now what I want to do here is I want to add some colors. So here we want to align this, but then the alignment would be a little bit tougher because we have to push this. So I'll select this two and then drag it here a little. Okay, then this two I'll also drag it here so that we just need this to be aligned. Okay, let me just do for the ones outside. Select this, drag it. Okay, I'll do this. Select this also and then drag it here. So I'll do for this, select this and then drag this. Okay, these are all aligned. So here I'll change the border radius to 5. So changing this to 5 here, we need to pick out all the courses and then place items for this. So I will be using Unsplash for this. So Unsplash. So the first thing is I want to search for UI UX. So I'll double click, make sure please I'm selecting this shape here, then I'll paste this on that's for the UI UX, or we can pick something brighter. Let's try this and see. Okay, that's brighter. So the next one is HTML5. So please, I think we can put HTML. Not getting the result I want, so please I'll double click on this and then look for HTML. Okay, I have HTML here. So double click on this. I would search for React. So okay, I have a code for React. I'll use this one here. Then I'll search for JavaScript. So I will double click on this, make sure I'm selecting this frame, and then we can use any of this frame here. JavaScript, I'll pick this for my JavaScript. Okay, so I can close this. What that means is I'm done with this course section. So I need to make some adjustment before I create the last component here. So I will push this learning to the top here a little here. So this portion, we push that also here. You know, we group them so we can actually move them together. I will do the same thing for this portion here. Okay, we have this, but I can align this. Okay, good. I can align this here, so this is good. And then we need to add one last item here. So I need to work on the support section. If you look at this, it's too vacant here. So what I want to do is I want to add a background here. So I'll be creating this rectangle, like a support system here. So I'll add this here, and then I'll make sure that, okay, let's just align that with this. Yeah, align it with this. So I'll drag this here. I'll make sure that I'm changing the color to this background here. So this is a support, so I will just add a text here, support. Then I'll search for an icon here on Iconify. So I'll search for support here. Support. So support, okay, I think we can use this for the support. So I can close this. Please let's zoom in so that we can work with this pretty well. So I can add a rectangle here. So let's check the size of our icon. I'll remove this vector here. So I'll delete the frame, and then I'll drag this in here. So please let's make sure we're taking this downward here. So now I can reduce the size of this, so maybe 15 by 15. So this background should be white, and then this icon should be blue. So I can align them together and then try to give this a border radius of 5. So if this have a border radius of 5, select the two, align them horizontally, vertically, and then I group them together. So I'll change this color to green. That's for our text so far. So let's see, we have a support here. Okay, I can align that this way and then group it Ctrl G. So what I want to do here is I want to give this a border radius of 10. That's too much, sorry, all the inner ones should be 5. So I have 5 here. So if this is 5, and then I can align this to this right here, center. So we want to search for an icon here, and okay, illustration in story pick here. So I'll be searching for support, yeah. So we search for support, And then okay, I think I found one. So we can use either this or okay. So let's do well by just changing the color of our item. So I would select this color here. I want to pick our blue, copy, and then I will change the background. Okay, I'll hide everything. Then I'll select the color and then change our color here to this blue. Okay, I'm picking this. I'll drag this and drop it here. Okay, so since we have this, I can just draw this here. So we can align these items here. But if you notice, let's see this group here, this my support is not in the frame. I'll drag it to the frame here, so it's now inside the frame. So these are some things I want us to change. You see these gears outside. If I want to delete them, let me hide them for you to see. You see the gears are gone, so I want to delete all the gears. So let me bring them back. So instead of hiding them, we can just delete them, except you want them on your design. So I'll drag this here and then I'll resize this item here. So I'll drag and drop that here. So this I can push this here. So the user have a support system. So please, I think I would love to reduce the size of this text here to 15. Then I'll realign that here again. Select the two and then align it back here. So we have support. So I'll select everything here and then align them to center and then group them together. Group. Then I can create a logout button here. So we can just add a text here to tell the user, okay, you can log out of our system. Yeah. So I just centered that here. So I would have loved to give that an icon. So you can do that as your assignment. So I'll change this to red. So I can pick any of this red here, log out of our system. So we can increase this, make it bold for the user to see. And then we can just quickly pick the icon here, iconify. So I'll just pick a logout or off. Let's search for off first before we go for logout. We want to switch. Oh no, let's go for logout. Logout. So I just want an ellipse cycle with an out button. Okay, so I can pick this here. So please, from our previous settings, we drag this outside and then I'll delete this, and then we make sure that the vector here, the width is 18, and then please, I'll undo that. I'll click on this, make sure this is 18, that's the width. So I can now bring this here. So I want to align it to those icons I have at the top here. So I can click on that. You see, if I do this, you see it's aligned because it's 18, is of size 18. So I have my button here, my text here. So I can just drag this here. Okay, log out here. So this has to be also of this color, right? Log out. So I can select the two and then align them, then group them. So here, okay, we think the user can log out. So in case you want to make any adjustment here, you can freely make them. So let's delete these two rulers, and then you see we have this design here. So what I want you to do is, let's try and put this in a mockup so that you can actually paste that on your portfolio, or you can add that. So we're going to search for a mockup. So I'll be looking for a mockup to add this. So we're adding that to a mockup. So let's add this to a mockup here. So I'll be searching for mockup studios. So run. So I'll be looking for free studio here. Please let me close this and then reopen it. Please, we want to add this to a mockup studio. is we want to add this to a mockup screen that's like a desktop that we can use for our project. So I'll be using this mockup here. So if I click, so we go to mockup library. So now it has lots of options here. There are other mockups you can use, but then I would use this because it allows me to use some free mockups. So I'm putting that in a MacBook. So these are some of the recently used. I can view all, so that depends on your network speed. But okay, let's pick this and see. So let's just wait for this screen to come up. So having this now, I can click on this item here and then okay, I choose this frame. Then after choosing it, we just wait for it to pick up. Then we crop, just press the crop, and then we have our design here, but it's like one of my design it's missing. So please let's look at this portion of our design here. This group is outside the frame. So because this group is outside the frame, let's bring it inside the frame here. So now this group is in the frame. So what we want to do now here, we want to put this design in the mockup, but let's close this and see if we have items that are not grouped. Okay, this one is not grouped, so I have to group this here. Ctrl G. So let's close this because I just want to make sure that everything is in a group. Learning plan. Okay, we have learning plan. Okay, it should be in this group here. So learning plan should be in group 23. Let's see. Group 23. Okay, good. So let's close this. View all should be in. Okay, do we have a group here? Okay, I don't think we have a group for these items here, so we can group them. My courses, I'll have to unlock that, and then I would highlight over this items here. So let me select outside and come here and click all of this, and then I'll group them. Ctrl G here. So I have my groups. So let's look at this rectangle. Do we have any rectangle? Okay, this here, and then the text here. So let's see which that group. So this rectangle have to be in group 7, but if we drag this here, I have to pull it down here. So this is group welcome, has to be in a group. Let's put that in a group here. Ctrl G. So our sidebar, okay, we're leaving that there, and then our navbar here. So everything is now in a group. So having completed this design, what I want us to do is I want us to add this in a mockup. So I'm going to click on this resource icon. So search for mockup, this exact one. Then we click on the run. So you can click on the run. So I want to place this in two different mockups. So one should be an iMac, and then the other one a MacBook. So I can click on this particular iMac here. So I'll just wait for that to pop up. So after loading, it's going to allow me to select a frame. So I'll use this, and then I'm going to pick this MacBook Pro, the whole of this. So it's going to give me an option. So please, I'll try to crop this here, something like this. Okay, so I can use the crop to see. So I have my design now. I can paste this to my workspace. So just wait for that to be pasted. So just give it time for it to just paste everything. So now I have this item here. So the next one is I want to put it in a MacBook. So I can go back again and pick a MacBook. So you can try that with other device, but for this tutorial, these are the two devices we'll be putting this design on. So I will repeat the same step. I'll click on this, then I'll choose a frame. Make sure you're selecting the original frame. So just wait for this to ask you to crop. Okay, I'm okay with this, so I can crop this. So once it's loaded here, you can then paste to Canva. So I can paste this on my Canva. So I can close this. So once you have this design, you see you can post this on your social media handle. You can post this on your Dribble, your Behance pages. So this brings us to the end of this tutorial. And please, if you're a new user, do well to subscribe to my channel. Thank you and happy Christmas.